In the deep valleys of Shringi Tirth, where Parvati was still immersed in penance, Shiva had now awakened, but would he immediately accept Parvati? After Sati's death, Shiva did not want to marry again. However, at the request of the gods, he reconsidered and decided to test Parvati. He appeared before her in the guise of a sage. Parvati was deep in meditation when the sage approached her and said, "Mother, will you give me some alms?" Parvati opened her eyes and said in a compassionate voice, "O sage, whatever I possess is yours." The sage smiled and said, "I have heard that you are performing penance for some ascetic yogi." Parvati replied calmly, "Yes, he is my lord, the purpose of my life." The sage laughed and said, "O maiden, you are so beautiful, so graceful, and you are performing penance for that yogi who lives in the cremation ground, who smears himself with ashes, who wears snakes around his neck, who shuns wealth, luxury, and comfort. He is not worthy of you. You are worthy of a prince, worthy of a god, not that ascetic." For a moment the wind stilled. Parvati's eyes were closed, but her face became resolute. She slowly replied, "O sage, you do not know that ascetic. He is beyond death. He is the beginning of creation. He smears himself with ashes because he burns away ego and purifies himself. He lives in the cremation ground because he has no fear of life or death. That yogi, that ascetic, is my everything. The world calls him an outcast, but I consider him the throbbing heart of creation." The sage laughed and said, "What if he does not accept you?" Tears of compassion welled up in Parvati's eyes, but her voice was even steadier than before, and Parvati said calmly, "In love there is no acceptance or rejection, only surrender. I was born not to possess him, but to experience him. If my love is true, he will have to awaken, for even Shiva is incomplete without Shakti." The sage remained silent upon hearing her words, and he realized that this was Sati's reincarnation. Afterward, he revealed his true form and smiling said, "Goddess, your love and devotion are true. You have not strived to possess me, but to understand me. I accept you as my consort." Tears welled up in Parvati's eyes, and a smile graced her face. She folded her hands and bowed to Lord Shiva. After thousands of years, that moment had arrived again, when the universe was witnessing Shiva's love. But the final chapter of this story was yet to unfold, and that was the marriage of Shiva and Parvati. The story of the penance at Shringi Tirth had now spread throughout the universe. In every realm there was talk that Parvati, the daughter of Himavan, had achieved what she had been striving for through years of penance. In every realm there was talk that Parvati, the daughter of Himavan, had pleased Lord Shiva himself through her penance. The gods rejoiced, and the directions echoed with the news that Shakti had returned to Shiva. When this news reached the Himalayas, there was a festive atmosphere. But amidst this joy, one face was worried, King Himavan's. Queen Mena said, "My lord, our daughter has achieved what she had been striving for through years of penance, so now everything will be auspicious." Himavan took a deep breath. There was worry in his eyes. "Mena, I am happy, but there is also a fear in my heart. Will the Mahadeva, whom creation calls the destroyer, who smears himself with ashes, who lives in cremation grounds, be suitable for our gentle daughter? Will he be able to fulfill the duties of married life?" Silence hung in the air. Even the snowy peaks of the Himalayas seemed to be listening to his worries. He was a father, and a father's heart is full of love. But there was also fear in his heart. At that moment, a radiant sage arrived at the palace, Sage Vasista. He was accompanied by some deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Kubera. The entire palace was illuminated by their divine presence. Himavan bowed at their feet and said, "Welcome, great sage. To what do we owe this visit?" Vasista smiled and said, "King, we have learned that you are worried about your daughter's marriage. But know this is no ordinary marriage. It is a cosmic union. Himavan replied, "But his life spent in penance. Would such detachment be suitable for my daughter?" Brahma stepped forward and said, "King, Shiva's renunciation is his glorious. He who, despite abandoning everything, protects all is the true master. He does not apply ashes, he burns attachment. He does not dwell in the crematorium, he symbolizes victory over death. Forget your worries, for this marriage is destined by destiny itself." Vishnu smiled and said, "King Himavan, remember, only when Shiva and Shakti unite is the universe balanced. Only through their union will the end of Tarakasura be possible, and creation will return to its original path." Kubera continued, "And if you are worried that your daughter is marrying a poor man, know that Shiva is my master, whose name sanctifies even wealth. He is complete in renunciation and regal in austerity. If he wishes, I can place the entire universe at his feet." King Himavan stood silently, his eyes no longer filled with fear but with reverence. He said softly, "So this is certain. This marriage is not just for my daughter, but for the very foundation of the universe." "Absolutely," Vasista said with his head bowed, "and the auspicious time for this wedding has also been set. So let's now learn the rest of the story. But before that, if you enjoyed the video, please share it with your friends and relatives." The wedding date had been set. Shiva, who had been silent for centuries, was now preparing for his wedding. But this preparation was unlike any other. Mahadev let the Ganges flow from his matted hair, smeared ashes on his body, and wore snakes around his neck. The Tripunda, Bhaguti, the sacred thread of the sacred thread, shone on his forehead. This was no royal groom, but a yogi for whom grandeur meant nothing. But his wedding procession was going to be the most unique in the entire universe. Strange creatures began arriving from all directions. Some were ghosts, some were spirits, some were yogis, some were siddhas, some were naked, some were enchanted by the rock, some were playing the drum, some were shouting. The songs of the Gandharvas, Har Har Mahadev, were accompanied by the dances of the Aghoris. The sounds of the Shankh, Damaru, Mridanga, and Tandava created an unimaginable rhythm. Vishnu and Brahma himself joined the procession. It was a procession that included both gods and demons, because Shiva belongs to everyone, not to any class. As the unique procession approached Himavan's palace, the scene was something else. Auspicious songs were sung in the palace. Ghosts and yogis with strange forms. The sight was terrifying. Mena Devi's face turned pale. She asked in horror, "Swami Himavan, what kind of procession is this? Is this the groom for whom our daughter performed penance?" Queen Mena's eyes were filled with fear. She felt this wasn't a marriage, but a catastrophe. She said in a trembling voice, "I cannot entrust my daughter to such a groom. He is not a god, but the very embodiment of death." Parvati was graceful, a deep smile on her face.